Hello, welcome to Follow Everton, where we just can't beat Bournemouth, can we?
Chris, are you okay? You're going on several straight hours of Everton Bournemouth content. Are you okay? Are you with me?
Uh, I mean, I can say the same thing over and over. And you know what? We did change the game. It was not just they pressed, we didn't have a solution. Our solution was somehow doing dice ball, but better at it and hitting the post a lot in that
Yeah,
second half.
a tale of two halves. So cliche, tale of two halves. Absolutely freaking terrible in the first half. We can get into some of the reason why that probably was when maybe Corey or Ryan wants to join us, but just awful. That was maybe one of the worst games I've ever seen Tarkowski play. Period. He was dreadful throughout. Astonishingly bad first half. And then, yeah, there were some bright spots. I was really disappointed we didn't see a single change at halftime from a side that desperately needed changes and needed energy and enthusiasm, which no one seemed to want to bring. I have many thoughts on our midfield and basically how we were playing it. Just awful. Just awful. I thought we were past all this. This was dice ball all the way for the most part, besides when Bournemouth decided to pack it in and try to play 10 men, 11 men behind the ball and give up possession. It was awful.
Yeah, and what's tricky here was at the very beginning, Bournemouth looked like they could score at any moment, but Everton were taking on the game. Yeah. But Bournemouth basically figured out every time you give it to Tarkovsky, you're in with a chance. But it wasn't just Tarky. It was James Garner was giving the ball away a lot. Illiman and Jai was really struggling. And yes, Lindstrom was struggling to get into the game. And where was Abdoulaye Doucouré? He was between a rock and a hard place. I guess he was trying to be near Beto, but the ball never really reached him. So he should have came back towards the goal to help out his team because we were being overrun and he was always in the wrong spot for like the entire first half.
Let's talk about him. If you want to let's just give our Doucouré score right now because I'm ready to do it. It would be
2.5.
No, it's not even a number, Chris. It's non-existent because he was a ghost the entire first half. You wouldn't have even known he was on the pitch. He was terrible.
I mean, it's more the second half. Oh, Stevie's with us.
Hey, Stevie, jump in. Let's get it. Is he with us? Can I bring him in?
Yeah, I think so.
Hey, Stevie, jump in with us. What are your thoughts? We're just starting to get into it. Just an absolutely abysmal first half. And what did you see?
Yeah, it was very poor. Obviously, first half was extremely disappointing, very flat atmosphere. And then obviously at half time, everyone was thinking, how are we going to get back into this? And what's he going to do to change it? And second half, you've got to give them credit. I think we gave as good as we got. And Bournemouth looked like they were becoming more vulnerable as we had a lot more possession, a lot more interest in their goal. And we had obviously those 3 shots off the woodwork. And on a different day, I think the second half would have produced at least enough to take us into extra time. Obviously, it's flat. It's disappointing. We're out the cup. It's the last cup game ever at Goodison. Shocking. David's driving. I'm not driving.
3.2 miles.
But I feel it's very flat as you when you go to the game and you get defeated. And we were just chatting about this. But there are some positives to take out of the second half. And so, on the bright side, it looks like we've got a nice signing in Alcaraz. Harrison looks reborn. I'm concerned about Wednesday, but that's another matter. Today, I'm disappointed that we weren't up for the cup from the first whistle. We felt it was a bit lethargic. From what I understand, there was an offside. The penalty was offside.
It was very close. I think O'Brien might have been keeping him on.
What was it, offside?
It was very close. I think O'Brien may have been keeping him on.
I'm just disappointed that they don't have VAR until the 5th round, but then I understand why they do that, because a lot of the lower league sides maybe don't have
VAR installed, probably.
And it sucks. Like, we've gone out the cup. It's the last cup game at Goodison. It's hard to defeat. It gives us a chance, I suppose, to reconcile and review where we are in the league and what we need to do. We've got a couple of really tough. Well, we've got one very tough fixture coming up. But at times, particularly at the end of the first half, I thought, how are we actually going to get back into this? And I was surprised that through one way or another, we were able to carve up chances that I just didn't think were coming from anywhere. Because it felt like we just weren't going to... Beto was feeding, again, off scraps. I like Beto. I find that he can be one-dimensional, and it was a bit exposed in the first half in the style of striker he is. But we didn't get a lot of support to him. I just don't know why we were so lethargic. Bournemouth maybe were better in the first half and then had to sit back and kind of deal with the fact that they were already so far ahead in the game. If we'd got another goal, if that free kick goes in, it's a different game attacking the Goodison Street with 10 minutes to go. It just felt like it wasn't going to be our day.
Stevie, what did it feel like in the ground, knowing that this was the final FA Cup game at Goodison?
Extremely
final
flat.
cup, anything, yeah.
For an FA Cup game at Goodison, it's just absolutely ridiculous how flat it was, because there was tiny pockets of singing, mostly in the Goodison Street. I was in the park end today, but really, I think considering that we've been on good form and that we've got Moyes, there wasn't a single David Moyes song. There was nothing there. And I think that, it's a two-way thing. The side needed to show the fans a reason to get behind the side, and then vice versa. So there was a bit of that going on. Some tired legs out there in general. They've been put through the paces in the last few games. The usual suspects were good. Garner, I think, was the pick, and Tarkowski had an absolute mare. Pickford made a good save at our end towards the end. It could have easily been 3. And obviously, Cliver pickpockets the defence as well. You could look at it both ways and go, it could have been 3-3 or 4-4 or something like that. But in the end, it's hard to take because we're out the cup so early, and it's that flat feeling that you've got when you've left Goodison.
Yeah, absolutely. You're watching Follow Everton. We're following up on the Everton Bournemouth game that just concluded. We have Stevie in the car on the way back from Goodison. Stevie, did you see any bright spots? And we talked about the second half. It looked like the team, the tenor of the team changed a bit when Alcaraz came on. What moment around that? It's a little.
I think that he did make changes, but it became very makeshift in the way that we ended up finishing the game, with Keane up front, Tim, Alcaraz, Ikori. It felt like it was just all last chance saloon style stuff. There was a patch before when we made the subs. We had massive momentum, and we were penning them back.
The sub should have been more
earlier. David, what do you think? We just couldn't seem to get any breakthroughs.
The subs proved that they should have come on much earlier, because Everton, for that first 20 minutes of the second half, they just didn't really get going. They didn't create anything. Bournemouth were just too easily coasting through the game, wasting time. The ref would give nothing. They knew they could take the piss. And until we made the subs, we just weren't in the game. But then for about 10 minutes, we looked good. But then it was 85 minutes, and it started to go a bit frantic, because we knew we needed 2 goals in 5 minutes, which was always going to be a tall order.
Were you upset that you didn't see more changes at halftime?
Again, about half time, it was difficult to know what would have changed. I mean, the bench. What have we got really?
Alcaraz for Decore was what I was screaming for.
There's no striker power there to put up with Beto.
I think Everton lost. They lost their head a little bit after the first goal went in. They seemed to drop, and as Stevie said, it was already very flat in the ground. It didn't feel like an FA Cup game. The crowd weren't up for it, and after the goal went in, Everton stopped hounding Bournemouth pressing. They just looked second to everything for about 20 minutes. Tarkowski making errors all over the shop. So it just was a recipe for disaster. And then going in 2-0, it was almost just game over, really, unfortunately.
I think one thing I held on to was the fact that obviously Bournemouth managed to turn around. So even with 10 minutes to go, I thought, well, turnarounds can happen. And if we're going to do it, it would be great, sweet revenge. But it just wasn't to be.
Yeah. Let me get everyone's comments on this. Here, I'm sorry. This is the one. Beto was lifeless today, unfortunately. I think that's a bit unfair to Beto.
Yeah, I disagree as well.
We've lost Stevie here. Maybe he'll be jumping back on with us. Corey, mate, let me get your take on this. It seemed like we reverted back to Dyche ball. Lots of long balls today, not playing to Beto's strengths. What did you see? What did you see out of the match in general, and then what did you see out of Beto?
Oh, well, in general, I'm just bitterly disappointed. Obviously, there was a lot of positivity beforehand. I think the way we started as well, it was tame, but we weren't troubled. Obviously, Bournemouth play a good press. They pressed really well. They put us under a bit of pressure, but it was just mistakes. Obviously, the two goals were absolutely garbage. James Tarkowski, absolutely woeful. I seen a comment there, they dragged him off that half an hour. I would have as well. I'd have just thrown the boot in and said, get off, because he was absolutely woeful. I posted on Twitter before, literally, probably like 3-4 minutes before the goal, when he won a foul, and he got lucky there because he got caught on the ball. Then he gets caught on the ball a second time. Actually get caught on the ball that time, and then again on the break, his head wasn't there today. He was absolutely woeful. One of the worst performances I've seen from an Everton captain. In terms of Beto, he just didn't have any chance. He wasn't given the opportunity. I don't think the Corey was near him enough. I know he played a bit deeper today, and that would have been a lot of because of how well Bournemouth have done. I apologise, I'm not well at the moment, so my ears are ringing.
No, that's okay. Hey, let's see, Ryan. It looks like Ryan might be able to pop on.
Yeah,
his internet looks really poor, so it'll maybe take him a minute to get his connection in.
So, but I just think I don't think Beto done terrible. I don't think he done brilliant, but he just didn't have the opportunity or the chance to do that today.
The team didn't set him up for success at all. There was a
No,
lot of
the
long
team
balls
wasn't
where
set-
everyone's on his back. Hoyson dominated him, but it wasn't his fault either. He was double teamed. Occasionally, he would have to like run into the midfield, be Abdoulaye Doucouré, because Doucouré wasn't. That's how he got himself involved. But then no one was there to help him bring the ball back up, so he was very stuck positionally.
I think what we talked about in pre-match really showed up to me in the first half, where Ashley Young was on the left, and it looked like we kept trying to play along the right with O'Brien up to Jesper Lindstrom, and that's just not where the strength of our side is, along that right side.
He can't cross the ball, can he?
Especially going forward. Neither of them can. Really, Jesper Lindstrom's not a great crosser of the ball either. Pretty decent on free kicks, but not a great crosser of the ball. I think Mikalenko being out completely changed the setup today, the style of play, and it had an adverse effect across the entire team. It looked like they had switched Garner. Garner was more shaded to the left in the first half. They remedied that a little bit, trying to spark something. But Mikalenko being out, I think, changed the entire dynamic. Ryan, how'd you see it?
Oh, well, poor Chris, having to do that watch along, bless him. I was thinking at Goodison, I thought, oh, FNL. Poor Chris is going to be pulling his hair out.
Yeah, it was fun.
Poor guy. I saw you had a lot of viewers, so I'm sure they appreciated you anyway.
Yeah.
I've got an ear infection in one ear, so I can't hear out of one ear. But what I am told is that there was nothing to hear at Goodison Park. It was like a council library, wasn't it? It was just like silent. The atmosphere was shit, and the team was shit, and the goals for Bournemouth were shit.
Why, Ryan? Why? Is it just because we didn't start well? What was influencing that?
Forget the crowd. The way the team set up was completely wrong. Ashley Young was basically, when you talk about a back five, when your full-backs, your wing-backs are really high and pressing. For some reason today, Ashley Young was basically like the fifth defender in the back flat line. The same with Jesper Lindstrom, and almost the first goal comes from a little bit of confusion between Jake O'Brien and Lindstrom, where they don't know which of the two they're picking up, and then Tarkowski's get dragged across, and obviously it's offside, but he makes it an irrash challenge. But it's the kind of the indecision between them. But the shape was wrong. It took them 70 minutes to realise that the wing backs have got to press high. Ashley Young had to go on their back. Whenever Bournemouth took the ball with the back to goal, Ashley Young had to be touch tight and to stop him turning and stop him running at you. So
for far too long in that first half. Basically, they could just play at passes and triangles, play through midfield. Decore was completely anonymous. Beto was back to the Beto, that we losing all the duels, looking disinterested, not making runs. Ndai was very, very quiet, but still somehow always having a spark about him in occasion. Lindstrom, again, he's getting pinned back. Garner Gay was really poor, nowhere to be seen. James Garner was the best of the four, trying to make something happen, but reluctant to play forwards. The runs weren't quite as good. And just special mention to Everton's defence today for the brain dead. I mean, I nearly lost my voice screaming at them, screaming from the top of my lungs, "What are you doing, Pickford, you idiot!" Because rather than play clever passes, he's chipping balls into the fullbacks that are really difficult to control. Well, Bournemouth are pressing really high, and then he's like fuming late on when he plays a hospital pass into the centre half, who plays it wide for Branthwaite, who launched it long. It's like they were brain dead in that back line. Jake O'Brien was really poor at right back. Tarkovsky was so bad and so brain dead with the second goal and the pass, unnecessary, stupid, trying to be too clever, the penalty, and James Branthwaite was good. But the point I'm trying to make was you make too many individual errors. There's a difference between let's suck Bournemouth in, play around them, and get into that midfield and turn them over, to what we were doing, which was trying to be unnecessarily clever in areas where you don't piss around with it. And you know what? We deserve to go out on that basis because it was amateur at best.
That first half was was as bad a first half as I've seen for Everton, even under the Dyche years. It was absolutely woeful. And like you said, their individual mistakes. I'm going to specifically pick out Tarkovsky because I think he was terrible and he didn't learn from his mistakes 3, 4, 5 times. But Idrissa Gana Gueye as well. He's been brilliant He's been brilliant this season. But there's like 3 or 4 times I counted where he just kept losing the ball. Fell over 2 or 3 times. I think if he's having a poor game, and with the effort and how consistent he is, it shows how bad everyone else was. Young wasn't getting close to Branthwaite. O'Brien, I apologise because I said I believe in him, and he's dropped a stinker today. And I think James Garner as well, probably the best of a bad bunch. His movement was good, his energy was good, but even he kept giving silly balls away. Did any of his set pieces beat the first man?
Not many.
Can we just say we've gone out the cup competitions in the first round again. We also lost to Southampton at home in the cup. Limp, tame. 2 cups in the final season at Goodison Park, and we've gone out both in the first couple of rounds. Are you taking the PISS? Come on. And then look at last season and the season before. No wonder we haven't won anything for 30 years. The players have got to turn up in that match, go out and win the game, go and press, go and make it horrible for Bournemouth. They beat us twice already this season. Go and change something up, get nasty, get aggressive, get horrible. It was like we just turned up to make the numbers up, and I'm so angry about that, to be honest.
Especially when you consider the second half. There was a rocket at the backside, and they've shown a bit of something about them. Now, that could be because Bournemouth have kind of dropped down a gear, but they didn't even have to get the gear in the first place. So this is what's so bitterly disappointing, is how poor we were in the first half, considering how well we did in the second, despite not being able to score a goal, and obviously sheer poor luck with the post being struck 3 times.
Yeah,
but that's what's so bitterly disappointing, is we offered so much in terms of the energy and things like that, and you can see a clear difference in the second half, but that first half just completely ruined everything.
Yeah. I almost wish that we'd have just sent out 11 kids and said we don't care, because they didn't look like they cared. I'll be honest, the first half they didn't care. They couldn't care less. That's the way I saw it in the stands. I thought these players aren't arsed. They're not bothered for this. They're thinking about Wednesday.
Yeah, I put that comment up by Carl a couple times because he makes a fair point. They played a week ago. They shouldn't physically be exhausted, but they looked to me today like they were mentally exhausted. A lot of mental errors, a lot of lapses. Could it be because we have come off of 3 emotional wins that this was just a letdown mentally, emotionally today, and
I think it was
kind of gave in.
complacency. I think we've had 3 good games, similar to Spurs. We've not had a game where we've been tonking a team. We were tonking a team. We got complacent. We conceded 2. We've seen that one out. We've had 3 good games on the run. Everyone's feeling high. We've seen it in the pre-match, in the preview. Everyone's feeling positive. All the fans are buzzing for it. And I think complacency crept in. That's why I think Tarkowski spent so long on the ball and got caught so many times. I think that's why Gay wasn't as sharp on the ball. So I think it was complacency, and then by the time they've stung us and they've got that one goal, heads have dropped again.
I don't think he had the same options though when he was playing out from the back today. It was too anonymous. You've got players like Decore who are just the guy. What he does is he does something exceptional, and then plays 80 minutes like awful week in week out, like inept, and then he'll do something and he'll be like, "Oh, he's great."
So I wanted to respond to this because I think Bournemouth were causing problems from like the first 10 seconds of the match. They nearly scored almost immediately off the first. I think it was the striker they played today did like a little kind of false 9 move, pulled Everton out of position, and nearly scored almost within the first 12 seconds of the match. So Bournemouth were well prepared, well drilled, and it reminded me a lot of how Aston Villa came to Goodison on the first match under Moyes. Everton tried to play up from the back, and the Villa players were smart enough to encourage Everton to play passes, caught them making silly mistakes. We only got caught from the one Branthwaite one on that day, but we could have gotten knocked 4 or 5-0 at halftime. The same way today. They were trying to induce us to pass through the middle, and it wasn't working. But it's against a well-run, modern football, high-pressing team. Does us in under Moyes so far.
Ryan, you made the point of just play the kids, and I think that's what stings the most here, is that we have a very thin squad. And this, if we're going to lose anyway, this was an opportunity to test some of these kids out. Martin Sheriff was on the bench. Roman Dixon was on the bench. This was an opportunity for David Moyes to see them in first team action, and they didn't get on the pitch today. And instead, he continued to drag out the likes of Tarkowski and Decore, who were just not present. Do you feel like we missed an opportunity to like play some of the legs, some of the younger legs? Because when Alcaraz came on, when Irabuno came on, they looked like a different side.
I understand why he did that, because we won 3 games and he needs to build momentum. But also we've got a game on Wednesday night where we can't morally lose to Liverpool. So I personally understand why he's done that, but there would have been debuts for me for a couple of players. I would have played Alcaraz from the start. If you've watched videos from him, you can see that technically he's light years ahead of Decore. He will also retain that goal threat, but he's got the work rate to get back and tenacious. So for me, there's no debate there. He's miles better than Decore. So I would have thrown him in. Maybe he'll start him on Wednesday. Decore can barely hit a 3-yard pass, and you've got Alcaraz pinging it one side of the pitch and hitting the post, and there's no comparison really. I possibly would have started Jack Harrison as well on the left and given. I don't like the guy, but he was good today, and just to give him a fresh opportunity in a preferred position, because we needed to try something different. We needed fresh legs. I don't think it was going to go dramatic to the kids. I just say 45 minutes. It was like watching paint dry, and it was painful. The crowd was disinterested. The players were disinterested, and it shouldn't be like that. You can analyse the game all you want. This is potentially the last ever cup match at Goodison Park, and we've gone and done that. It's inexplicable. And you've got players on $100,000 a week lunging in the box, nowhere near the ball. It's brain dead, honest to God.
It's such a simple thing as well. When that ball, obviously, they had that first opportunity, and then the second one comes in. It's quite possible he's offside. Ball comes in. The way he's put that ball on his left foot, you've got that covered. You just shepherd him. Just stay in front of him at that point. The fact he's gone in for that challenge, he's just set us on the back foot. And then he's tried it a second. He's not tried a second time, but he's tried to be confident a second time. That clip out was woeful. And like I said, like you said,
we weren't trying to beat the press. It didn't look. Sometimes you can use the opposition's press to your advantage. This modern football is all about the press. Draw them in, play around them, play into midfield, open up the pitch, and get in behind them and hit you on transition. That we didn't do that today. We played like forced, strange, chipped balls into Jake O'Brien, who was technically very poor with his crosses and his final third play. And when we did try and press them, we were nowhere near. It was like Beto jogging on his own with no support, and they just knock it round, and someone else then goes, and they knock it round him, and then someone else goes. It was not what we've seen. And David Moyes needs to have stern words with them and say, what the hell was that? You were crap playing out from the back. You were crap on the ball, and you were crap trying to win the ball back and take the initiative and play with that intensity. I will give some credit before I go. Wonderful stream. Is we did hit the post 3 times. We did rally. Fortunately, it shouldn't take 70 minutes for you to really pull your socks up and go. I think on another day, we do score the 2 or 3 goals we need. But, you know, the luck wasn't our way. The ref was shocking. The linesman was shocking. It's just a damp squib, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ryan, any bright spots before you go?
Any last thoughts?
Any bright spots before you go?
Alcaraz, for me, he has a stockiness about him in his build. A touch and a technical ability that is evident to see, and a ball carrying ability. So where we will see with him is, can he do the dirty work? Can he be intelligent when we don't have the ball and disciplined? And if he can, then he will absolutely be a great signing for the 16 million we're getting. Lindstrom, again, I think he shows the work rate and the energy, but doesn't really have the end product for me. The other bright spark, maybe there's no James Garner's injured. He went off injured. You know,
We did.
I've got no positives. No, apart from Alcaraz. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna sit and make something up.
Yeah, I think the one thing you mentioned, Harrison, and I think that to me is, if you want to hold on to anything positive that came out of this, it's maybe Harrison has turned it around and looks a different player. That's it.
Just had a Wednesday for me. The fitness of Mikalenko is so important. I think we'll see Ndai basically spend most of the game playing left back, trying to cover Mikalenko, trying to stop Cody Kapu cutting inside and launching it. Sorry, it's not Kapu, is it? It's the other one, Salah.
It's Kapu.
He's just going to have to basically, he's got the mobility. He's going to have to follow Salah, and the same on the other side. And Garner's going to have to basically run and run. We're going to have to run and run and run and run. And you know what? Tarkowski, any other game, I'll be dropping him. And Moyes isn't going to, I can't use that language on here. He's not going to suck up to Tarkowski. You know, he doesn't have any loyalties to this guy like Dyche. You know, in a normal match, you just go, nah, drop him. You're crap. You need to learn.
We need a new captain.
We needed leaders today. At 30 minutes in that match, someone had to say, what the hell are you doing, lads? Someone go down for an injury, get instructions off the manager. Someone with a brain cell. Think we are losing this match. We are playing crap. We cannot keep the ball. We're offering nothing going forward. We haven't got a sniff of this, and we're making
What's
mistakes.
our plan B?
When we had the first goal, which was suicidal, we decided to give them a second suicidal moment. Heads were gone. Heads were gone in that match. Why is someone in there not going, this isn't good, falling on the floor, pretending to be injured for 2 seconds so we can speak to the manager, get instructions on what's going wrong? You might have said the spaces aren't working, or the wing backs need to get pressed touch tight, or Decore needs to play deeper, or Decore needs to get higher up to Beto. Something. But we let it go for 45 minutes. And we knew nothing was happening. At best, it was Bournemouth scoring again. Anyway.
Yeah. Tarkowski nearly had a turnover at the 15-minute mark. Corey, you tweeted about it. He got lucky that we didn't turn it over even before then, his penalty. Ryan, you have preview on Tuesday. You want to promo what you'll be talking about?
A Merseyside derby. Come and join us. We got some analysis ahead of the match. I think there's some tactical things we can have a look at, particularly Liverpool, who are back to their best with their transitional play. And I think if you watch them against Spurs the other night, that is a demonstration on what Everton need to not do. And the basics are stop Van Dijk from your corners, stop the wide players cutting inside, follow the third man running from midfield. And it's going to be very, very difficult. And how do you stop Van Dijk? Maybe Beto just spends the whole game pinning Van Dijk as best as he can and freeing up space for some other players to get in the little spaces behind Liverpool's fullbacks. But we'll go into that in more detail.
There is a Macklem in our team who has a way of dealing with Virgil van Dijk, which the Reds will have you not forget about.
I can't believe someone hasn't crocked Mo Salah. Broken his ankles or something. I wouldn't advocate for that, but how is this guy so injury free? Someone needs to he's winning Liverpool the league at a canter. Just go and take the guy out on Wednesday. Just snap his ankle for a few months, and then I wish him well in Saudi Arabia on his £5 million a week. But
yeah, we only want to snap his ankle metaphorically, Ryan. If everyone's listening to our content, we can't encourage violence. We can only metaphorically discuss such things.
Yes, we can. Yes,
it would be a shame if some ricin found its way into his water bottle. That's terrible. I shouldn't say things like that. Just stop this guy cutting in on his left foot. For God's sake, it's pretty basic stuff. He's going to do it every single time. Anyway, I need to go. I've got work.
And have a good night. Enjoy it.
It's so deflating.
Be well, mate. Hope that ear clears up for you.
I put a tweet out before saying it was embarrassing to lose 3 times to Bournemouth, and I'm getting loads of shit for it. Of course it's embarrassing. 3 times to Bournemouth. We shouldn't be losing 3 times to anyone. Have some standards. Goodbye.
Good to have Ryan join us.
So, lads, obviously we've covered the first half probably in excruciating detail so far. This is what I said is quite bitterly disappointing. Is obviously we were so poor in the first half. The second half we looked a different outfit. There was a lot more intensity. It could have been, like I said, Bournemouth dropping off, going down a game because they were 2-0 up and essentially cruising. But it could have been essentially a half-time team talk. What's your opinion on the change around going into that second half? And was it, let's say, a rocket up the backside from David Moyes? Did he give him the water bottle treatment?
I don't think they knew what to do. It took a while for them to, because it was all play from the back or long ball, and eventually Everton were winning the second or third ball after they did a long ball that was challenged enough that Huijsen would win it. Then it would be a battle in the midfield where Tyler Adams was excellent for them, but got more worn out. So you had the likes of Jack Harrison then being able to win the second ball off him, and all of a sudden we would kind of be high up the pitch and have a scoring opportunity because we didn't know how to advance without that tactic of just being slightly faster on a second ball, to me.
There's a famous coach here. I can't even remember which one. I think it's a famous college basketball coach here that was, when asked once about how he motivates his players, he responded, "I don't need to motivate them. Their motivation should be not wanting to sit on the bench next to me." So the fact that David Moyes came out of halftime with the exact same 11 he started that game with tells me, like, what motivation is he trying to spark in them? There's no consequences to their poor play because he let them finish the job, or at least attempt to finish the job. I think he needed to take drastic action at halftime because there were multiple members of that team that did not show up today, just completely absent. And I think it sends the wrong message to those players, to the locker room, to those young players that were sat on the bench today of what is acceptable at Everton. So David Moyes, I absolutely love. I would pull him out of a burning building right now, but I thought he failed us today.
The other question, Chad, if more than 5 members of the squad deserve to be benched, then all of a sudden you bench a couple of them and others kind of got away with it. So it seemed almost like the entire squad wasn't good enough. To me, Iliman and Jai and James Garner were also guilty, as was Idrissa Gana Gueye, on not doing fundamental passes, not being engaged in the game enough. Then you throw Decore on, you throw Taki and O'Brien. more than half the squad shouldn't have started the second half, in my opinion. So how do you cherry pick a couple of them and then everyone else that didn't get subbed gets rewarded? I felt that was maybe why Moyes said the entire squad needs to improve as a unit, not calling one person out and letting the others get away with it.
Yeah, I'll tell you exactly how you answer that question, Chris. It's because there was one person that is wearing the armband that says captain on it, and that same person also gave up 2 goals on his own. So if you want to make a statement, if you want to make a statement to that whole team, you put his ass on the bench where he belonged in that second half.
Yeah, so just take off Tarky and everyone else gets the statement measure and put on Keane or something. Yeah, okay. I'll take that. I'll take that.
I agree with you as well, to be honest, Chad. I would, like I said, I would have dragged Tarky off on half an hour or something like that. Maybe even Alcaraz, maybe just to change the more tactically than anything. But just to play devil's advocate, because sometimes it's good to look at it that way. Like I said, I agree with you. The fact that the players came out and they come out, and to be fair to Tarkowski, he looked a lot better, a lot more positive on the ball. Maybe the fact that he said that it's a full, like Chris said, it's a full team thing. You're all coming back out, but you're all getting as a full team, you're all getting an absolute bollocking. Coming back out, and it did look like that's potentially happened. And I guess it is a positive thing that you can see that we've had such a poor half, which is not a positive thing, of course. But the way they've come out and they've played it so much better, and at least in terms of the intent, the mentality was a lot better in that second half. That is a positive thing. Seeing maybe if he does that, we're keeping the same team on. It shows he doesn't need to make them drastic changes. If you get what I mean.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not disagreeing with you, because I'd done the exact same thing as you've said, but I'm just trying to look at it maybe in that different way as well.
Yeah.
So I wanted to follow up that, Chad, who should replace Tarky as captain? Because it's going to happen at some point, is it not? This year, next. If he got subbed at halftime, who would you want to see? Idrissa Gana Gueye, or who do you think would do well with that armband?
Well, Jordan Pickford was the vice captain just last year. Last year, 2 years ago.
Right. Yeah. So when Tarky was injured, you saw him. But is he the right player if you want someone in the middle of the park to truly challenge and like go up and represent the team for a tackle? You know, when you have to have that player, only one can like crowd the referee to have that discussion. Do you want Pickford, or is he too riled up and a bit of a chaos merchant to really have him? He would run all the way to the other penalty spot just to argue a call. If you had someone like him, do you want that? Or do you want someone on like that's one of the starting 10 on the pitch?
No, I mean, the obvious candidates are Jared Branthwaite, Mikalenko, Dwight McNeil, Iliman Ndiaye. I don't know if any of those fellas have the personality for it.
Branthwaite, maybe.
Yeah, I think in a couple of years, I'd see him doing that, but he's still quite young. And if he's playing underling in terms of status to Tarkowski, I think then the de facto would just go back to Tarkowski again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we have our next captain on this team yet.
James Garner, no, he's not loud enough, is he?
He's not. He's not a captain. He's not a skipper. He's a good player, and his graft is fantastic, but he's not. He's not.
Yeah, I'm just reeling for options. Yeah, Pickford obviously is vocal enough, but he's also so kind of he's his own character. I'm trying to think of the right way to say it. He's just at times
an asshole. He's an asshole, Chris.
Yeah, right. He's a wild card, and he's on his own. He's on his own planet, and he wants to have someone on the same planet as you as the captain.
He's had 4 or 5 yellow cards this season for dissent. I think he's had 2 for time wasting, and he's had 4 for dissent or something like that. So maybe he'd get a lot less yellow cards if he was allowed to go and kick off the referee instead. He'd be doing it legitimately.
Yeah.
All right, lads. If I talk about Everton anymore, it's going to ruin my day. So I might.
Well, I need to go to sleep at some point.
All right, Corey, you have any closing thoughts?
There's definitely positives. Like Ryan said, Alcaraz coming on. I think he's showing energy, certainly ability. That immediate cameo that he's shown there when he brought in between the two players in midfield, went forward, won the free kick, hit the post. That's a positive. Harrison coming on, looking a lot better, is a positive sign. Like I said, the way we went from so poor to so good means that there's still that motivation there. Heads didn't completely drop. That's a positive sign. And we hit the post 3 times. We had a goal cleared off the line. I think we had 2 cleared off the line. So on another day, we get back in that game, it's just so bitterly disappointing. Is that some brain dead football in the first half, and especially 2 goals from the captain, has just completely set us so far back. So I'm bitterly disappointed. I'm gonna turn the heating on, get under the blanket, cry myself to sleep. But I'll have dreams of the derby because there's positive signs.
Here. Well said. Well said. All right, fellas. Well, hey, you can watch Ryan and Mapsy on preview on Tuesday. I think I will be on post match for Liverpool on Wednesday. Gentlemen, are you on any shows this week?
I believe
No.
I am doing pre-match for next weekend game. I'm not on for the derby, so
yeah. Unfortunately, I'm out on site, so the timing is terrible. I'm basically working during all the matches, so it's not really going to work.
Can we just highlight that one from before we go from Roy Nixon? Sometimes it just isn't your day, and that's it.
Yep.
Yeah, Sean Reader said they're a decent side, so yeah. Look, everyone's got it straight. It's not time to panic. It's just one of them days, not your day. Poor start. Like I said, there's still positivity to go with, and let's not let that derail where we're at the moment.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're still riding a high. We're just a little deflating today.
That's the one.
All right, Chris, shut it down.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Toffees.
Toffees.